Hello everyone, Tensei, and welcome to my channel. I am Gwendolyn, the metaphysician. You may call me Gwendolyn. Today I am doing a teaching video on the Sabian Symbols. They are a channeled astrological guide. I use them in my astrocasts, and instead of explaining them every time, we now have this video. I think they're incredibly accurate. I love them, and that is why I use them. So here we go. First, I want to begin with a land acknowledgement. I respectfully acknowledge all Canada's Indigenous peoples, the treaty, the Métis and Inuit nations on our Canadian home and native land. Hi. Kinamoskitin. Thank you for you. All right. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. My intention is to teach and guide Please like, share, and subscribe. My intention is to teach and guide a growing audience more and more every day in every way for the greatest good of us all, guiding you in all aspects of your life, in your healing, your spirit, your physical, and knowing, your learning, knowing, and being to be in you. All right, please do it. Share my channel. Let's grow together. The Sabian Symbols were born in 1925 in San Diego, California. The Sabian Symbols began with a collaboration between American astrologer Mark Edmund Jones. He was also a TV writer before there was TV. In 1953, he published the Sabian Symbols in Astrology, with the intention of creating astrology to be rejecting the popular fortune-telling astrology of the day. He began organizing and codifying his astrological material, but what he termed a Kabbalistic method. Although his method included the more widely recognized Hebrew Kabbalah, he described his approach as a blend of head and heart, or poetry and philosophy, that is directed toward helping the individual to integrate those functions within himself. His Kabbalistic structure permeates the Sabian lesson material. Now, this was a direct quote that I took from the Sabian organization of Mark Edwin Jones.php. I will add the link below so you can go check out the Sabian organization, which is still active today. He collaborated with Elsie Wheeler, who was born on September 3rd, 1887 at 9:30 p.m. in Norris City, Southern Illinois. Not a great deal is known about her life, but the legacy she left behind lives on through the gift that is the Sabian Symbols. Again, that was taken as a direct quote from Linda Hill's Sabian Symbol site, which we're going to visit here in a minute. Okay. And again, I've provided the link and the resources. The resources are on the last slide, and the link is in the description box below. Now, their plan. The whole task had to be completed. This is a task of the Sabian Symbols, without any breaking in of any other living entity or the intrusion of any sort of life situation. But here they could sit in a parked car, attracting no attention, and yet were meeting the requirement of natural law itself. That this highest of spiritual tasks be framed in a milieu of the most complete possible intensity or turmoil of normal human living or business and personal affairs in the broadest possible intermeshing and superficial conflict. Again, I took that from the Sabian Symbols. Couldn't find a page number. They're talking in here, the plan is like, how did they plan to get the channeling? And he wanted to make sure that there were no interruptions, that it was pure. So they really went out of their way to make sure. They parked a car in the middle of nowhere. Now, the event of when this began, the Sabian symbols were channeled. Well, Elsie had to be carried and no others could be present. She had to be carried because she had severe rheumatoid arthritis, and this put her, she was immobile. She required a wheelchair. So Mark picked up Elsie, and alone in his car, they drove to Balboa Park. Sometime prior to that day, Mark had carefully prepared 360 white online 3x5 index cards for the session by writing one of the astrological degrees on each of the cards. Because he realized there could be interruptions, he decided to break up the session into quarters. A quarter of the cards were taken at random for each session, and the cards were shuffled continuously during the process. Each card was placed face down before Elsie, and she reported on the pictures she saw by inward vision. Neither of them knew which degree was being dealt with during the time she was describing the picture. Mark hurriedly wrote down the brief description on each card as she described the image, and the first session took approximately 2 hours. They took a brief break, and another 90 symbols were recorded after a drive well into the country where there was little chance for any intrusion of alien interest. But an opportunity for a pleasant and leisurely noon dinner, the sessions were resumed at the same spot in the park, and the other degrees were interpreted in a similar fashion. Again, this is a direct quote from the Sabian organization, which I've linked in the description below. Now, the Sabian symbols became known for their accuracy. Dan Rudair reviewed Mark Edmund Jones' book, A Reinterpretation of the Sabian Symbols, presenting them as a contemporary American I Ching. I agree. I believe the Sabian symbols and the I Ching are incredible, very accurate oracles, and this is why I use them in my astrocasts. I've been working with the Sabian symbols probably for the last 20 years and the I Ching since I was 14. It was one of the first books I read as a young teenager. So, very accurate. Jones named them the Sabian symbols because he felt the channeling process tapped into an ancient, esoteric, astrological wisdom of the ancient Mesopotamian Sabian Brotherhood. I know I'm saying that word wrong, people. Thank you. Again, I've put the origin history here by Roche D, 1997 and 1999 here. And I've added a link in the description, as I've said several times before. All right. I'm going to do some research on this Sabian organization. It's intrigued me. It's brightened my curiosity. I'm interested, and I'll do some research and I'll share it with you. Now, Linda Hill is the creator of SabianSymbols.com. Right? And I took this again right off her website. I basically copied and pasted it in here. Linda Hill is one of the top astrologers, world's top astrologers. Her book, The Sabian Oracle, 360 Degrees of Wisdom, is recognized as the premier resource on the Sabian symbols, a unique set of images to chart your destiny based on the zodiac. Her intuitive blend of modern astrology with deep interpretation of the Sabian symbols has guided thousands of people to tune into their inner wisdom and create meaningful, fulfilling lives. A qualified professional astrologer for over 30 years, Linda has had a long has long had an association with astrology and the mystical. Her mother was a Reiki healer, and her father an amateur astrologer who conducted spiritual healing and dream analysis in the family home. This ordained Linda with a curiosity for spiritual matters and a quest for deeper meaning from an early age. Her travels have taken her from the birthplace of astrology in the Middle East to lecture theaters across Australia, England, Ireland, Russia, Holland, South Africa, New Zealand, Canada, and the United States. She has served on the state and national boards of the Federation of Australian Astrologers, and for 6 years was the International Liaison Officer. Super experienced, really knows her stuff. And her website, I love her site. It's so incredible. It's just so much fun. And we're going to look at it here in a little bit. Again, direct quote from the SabianSymbols.com about, and the link is in the description box. Now, Linda Hill makes notes for astrologers because along with using the Sabian symbols as an oracle, they can be used in every aspect of astrology, including Hori, mundane, electional, and indeed for any of the zodiacal systems, such as the heliocentric, the sidereal, the draconic, I added true sky. A great exercise that helps one to see more into these Sabian symbols is to look up the symbol for the sun at sunrise and watch what happens throughout the day. You can also tune into the degree of the new or full moon for clues of what's going on during that period. In our example later, we're going to look at the lunar eclipse happening on August 28th here for Canada, just to see what's going on. What does the oracle say? The symbols can be applied at any point in the zodiac. They will reveal at times brilliantly and clearly added layers of meaning to the degree of any of the planets, any asteroids that one might use, the angles. In fact, anywhere there's a zodiac degree. My belief is that wherever one seeks meaning, one will find meaning. I totally 100% agree with that. I love that. My belief is that wherever one seeks meaning, one will find meaning, and that was from Linda Hill. Direct quote. Noted in my references and in the link in the description below. All right. Now, using the Sambian symbols. Linda Hill states on her webpage, using the Sabian symbols at sabiansymbols.com, using the Sabian symbols in astrology. Link is in the description box. Again, direct quote, when looking up the Sabian symbol for a planet or placement in a chart for any degree, one must round up the degree to the next whole number. This is because the zodiac starts at 000 Aries and the symbols begin at Aries 1. Imagine when a baby is turning 1. They are going into their second year. Usually the first degree of the zodiac is an example. If you're looking at, say, 1.38 of Aries, that is read as Aries 2 in the symbols. So even if the degree you're looking at is Aries 000, you would still read Aries 1. Same goes if the degree is 1.59. That is Aries 2. Remember, it's simple. Always add 1 to the degree you're looking up when using Linda Hill's site, sabiansymbols.com. The rounding is done for you. It's important to remember this because I get confused sometimes, but she's already done the rounding, so you just have to look up the degree you're looking for, okay? All right. Now, let's check out Linda Hill's SabianSymbols.com. You can follow me in this teaching video. First, I'm going to ask the Oracle how to make my YouTube presence prosper, how to grow my audience and grow my income by helping us all grow to be in us, to just be more connected. Right? And then the second thing, I'm going to teach you how to find your sign, finding your sign and using the oracle for the Alberta lunar eclipse on August 27th, which is at Pisces at 4 degrees. All right, and just kind of what does the oracle say about that? All right, so let's begin by asking the oracle how to make my YouTube presence prosper. All right, so first we're going to go to SabianSymbols.com. Make sure you get this right because there is a Sabian symbol out there that is very high quality musical instrument. Musicians love them. So just make sure you're typing it in correctly here. Otherwise, you might be looking at a different type of symbol. All right. When you land on the page, the very first thing you see is Ask the Oracle. Clear your mind. Make a mental picture of your question. Click on the nebula. So I'm just going to take a breath and just connect. And asking how and what ways can I make my audience and my channel prosper? How can I make my audience and my channel prosper? All right, and then I'm just going to click on Ask the Oracle. Oh, now look at what it says here. It says, after a storm, a boat landing stands in need of reconstruction. This is true. The symbol shows the need to rebuild parts of our lives that get swept away. Even things built on solid foundations can be swept away. You may feel at times overpowered that you need to pick yourself up. You may have to reconstruct some usually secure part of your life, but you're wiser and will in the future build something stronger. Finding tools to rebuild can create brand new opportunities. A great use of this degree is to find yourself in the helping role or being a counselor for others who have difficult issues to deal with in their lives. Temporary loss, emotional repair, insurance claims, the fragility of our world in the face of nature, having nowhere to dock one's emotions, putting pieces back together again. And then she shows a shadow side here, making excuses instead of taking responsibility, emotionally swamped and powerless, feeling shot to pieces, and letting things wear down to the point of collapse. This is so fitting for me at this moment, as usual with her oracle stuff. I just experienced about 5 months ago a brain injury, and I really am putting back the pieces of my life together. And one way I'm doing it is rebuilding this channel and rebuilding this. I'm finding it incredibly helpful as I deal with, I don't want to say trauma, but it feels like a trauma, this new way of being in my life. Of course, the more I talk about it, the more I exacerbate my symptoms. So I'd rather really not do that. So that's how I can help, by being a counselor for others who have difficult issues to deal with their lives. That's exactly how I see my role, as guiding and sharing and being a counselor for those who have are experiencing difficulty. I want to lift you up, provide light in those dark places. That's my goal. I've been there. I'll share some of those experiences with you. Okay, now the second part that we're going to talk about is finding your sign. So I meant by finding your sign, like, hey, I know that I'm a Cancer And I was born on July 21st. I'm actually on a cusp, but different story. We're going to look up Pisces 4, but this works for any, as she said before, any planet and any degree. Okay, so let's go do that. Let's find out what the oracle says is happening for Pisces for the Alberta and Saskatchewan lunar eclipse. I'm guessing because it's a lunar eclipse, it's going to be everywhere. Sorry about that. Okay, so we go up to my symbols here. All right, my symbols. So everybody, if you're here, go click on my symbols and go to list of symbols. List of symbols. So click list of symbols. And we are going to go to, here's all the signs. So it says here, select the sign. Okay. We're going to go to Pisces, where our lunar eclipse is happening, where the moon is happening at this 4 degrees of Pisces. In my future astrocast on this, I will also look at the sun degree. But that's for later. It's a little teaser for you. 4 degrees. All right. And then you have to push look up. All right. So step 1, you choose the sign, and then you select the degree of the zodiac, and you look it up. Okay, now this one, and she automatically, as I've told you before, automatically pops it into the 5th degree. Okay, a church bazaar. So this shows being able to work with others for the needs of the community in a church bazaar. People will come together. They're going to be bringing homemade jams, bits and pieces, bric-a-brac, handcrafts, and things that they have donated. A church bazaar is a great place to meet others, find a bargain, and help the community build a bigger and better sense of cohesion. Raffles and charity drives can have small donations building into worthwhile accounts to help those who are in need. You may donate some of your time, energy, or possessions for benevolent ends. This always brings some type of tangible reward. Old-fashioned values can be brought to the community through commerce and the warmth of sharing. Exchanges of spiritual knowing, overcoming loneliness or alienation, selling things, the issue of worth. I'm also going to do one on that. I just got a really good channel the other day about worth. Collection plates, bric-a-brac, bargains, pooling efforts, fundraising. So these are all things you just start seeing our communities working more and more together during these transitional times. Now, again, she talks a little bit about the shadow side, the spiritual or social exclusivity, giving things smaller worth than they deserve, fussing around about small details, people being stingy, and the fear of never enough money. That one's playing out on so many different levels right now. I have an incredible resource to help you with your money and growing money, and I will also do a presentation on him. And if you don't want to wait till then, check out Brian Scott at realityrevolution.com, and I will place his link below as well. So that is the Sabian symbols. All right. So I want to thank you. Kinnamoskatin. That means with gratitude. It comes from a really heartfelt place of in Cree. There's not really a word for thank you. It's like, geez, I translate it as being I'm incredibly grateful. Filled with compassion and love for you listening and being part of my audience. Now, I use the Sabian symbols and the I Ching in each of my Alberta and Saskatchewan astrocasts, as I find them to be extraordinarily complementary to the I Ching, and I just find them so accurate, and I love it. All right.
Sorry.
Please like, share, and subscribe. Just one more time. That's my intention to grow my audience and to assist you all in doing so and your growth and well-being. Here's my resources. There's Hill, Roach, and Roach. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful life. Being you.